Hello everyone, it's me Uncle John. Today I am going to read Water Wishes S6003, Chapter 6, Stolen Wish. The next morning, the sun rose slowly from the ocean, turning the clouds pink and gold. The green bottle sat on the high dune where, the night before, a mermaid had lain. A tattered piece of paper rose like frozen smoke from the bottle's neck. A lone figure walked onto the dune. A tan hand picked up the bottle and pulled the paper out. The figure walked toward the water, holding the bottle and the paper. A moment later, a giant wave washed over the shore. When the wave withdrew, the figure was gone. All that remained was the parchment and the bottle. The bottle cast a long green shadow onto the sand behind it. The paper was again tucked into the bottle's neck, but a few things were different. Sam woke up as Polly climbed down the bunk bed ladder. "Your legs are back," he said. "Yeah." Polly didn't sound too happy about it, and I didn't even get to swim. "You got to take a bath," said Sam. She frowned. "It's not the same," she said. "Let's go find the bottle and make a wish," said Sam. A few minutes later, they were creeping upstairs to grab something to eat. Uncle Ned heard them and turned away from the window. "Weather's weird," he said. He took a sip of his fancy coffee, his eyes going back to the window. Polly and Sam went and looked out too. The sun was hanging just above the water. Clouds fanned out from it. The sky was blue. "Uh-oh," said Polly. She didn't see anything weird. "Look at the waves," her uncle said. "Yikes," said Sam. The waves were rolling in quickly. They seemed to be coming from far away and got bigger and bigger until they rose up and crashed on the shore. Spray flew everywhere, even at a distance. The waves looked huge. "Think I'll find the weather on TV," said Ned. "Uncle Ned," said Polly. "Sam and I are going to go outside for just a bit." "Fine with me," said Ned. He turned on the TV and began flipping through the channel. There was a lot of static. "Just don't get too close to the water. I don't trust it today." "We won," Polly and Sam said together. Polly and Sam each took a bagel from the kitchen. Then they headed outside. The sunlight made them squint and the wind whipped sand against their legs. They made their way over to the high dune where the magic had first worked. The bottle wasn't there. Polly and Sam looked around while the blowing and burrowed into their clothes. Polly's hair was heavy with it, and Sam's mouth tasted greedy. "There it is," Sam shouted against the wind. Polly had to shield her eyes to see where he was pointing. The bottle sat on the sand near the water. They ran down the dunes. The sand stung their skin relentlessly, but they didn't notice. Instead, they gaped at the waves. At close quarters, the waves were even more enormous. The sound they made was huge too. It looked as if the waves would swallow the bottle at any moment, but somehow they seemed to keep washing up on either side of it. Sam and Polly hung back and took in the scene. "We've got to make a dash for it when the waves go back," Polly shouted. Sam looked at Polly with a terrified expression. Polly looked back out at the giant waves. She straightened her shoulders and lifted her chin. "I'll go," she said. "I run faster. Besides, it's kind of like jump rope." "Be careful," said Sam. He watched as Polly nodded to the rhythm of the waves. Suddenly, she took off, making a beeline for the bottle. Sam loved how fast she could go. Waves rose like walls around her, but they didn't touch her. She snatched up the bottle and turned to head back. "Run!" screamed Sam. A wave loomed over her in pursuit. Sam ran too. Polly caught up with him just as the wave came down behind them with a crash. "That was close," said Sam. He was breathing hard. "But we got it," said Polly. She held up the bottle in victory. "Yeah." said Sam. He looked at the raised bottle. Wait, he said, something is different. Polly rolled the bottle, and they both looked at it. Water sloshed inside the bottle like a little ocean, complete with the waves and a sandy bottom. But the strangest thing of all was the tiny pair of sunglasses, floating on the surface. Uh-oh, said Sam. Joe, said Polly. She stared at the little sunglasses. He took our bottle. He took our wishes. The wind blew her hair across her face. Salty strands stuck to her cheeks and eyelids. She peeled them away with her hand. Her eyebrows were lowered and her shoulders hunched as she turned her glare away from the bottle and out at the surging sea. Sam didn't know what to say. He didn't know why Joe had done. He watched as Joe rose and fell in Polly's eyes, waiting for her to figure out what to do. He took one of our wishes, she repeated. I can't believe he's such a jerk. He just thinks he's so great. Polly's eyebrows lowered into a scowl. How do you know he used a wish? So, of course he used a wish, Polly growled. That's why the sunglasses are in the bottle. How else could it happen? Her voice got louder. He thinks he's so grown up. Grown-up Joe can do whatever he wants. Sam didn't have a chance to say anything before Polly went on, her eyes looking far away. That's it, she said quietly and ominously. She grabbed Sam by the shoulder and looked into his eyes. We're going to have to disown him. Okay, said Sam, glad a decision had been reached. Well, disown him. We'll disown him. He paused. What's disown? Polly rolled her eyes. It means that we'll never speak to him again. If someone says that he's a brother, we'll say no, he isn't. Sam looked at the bottle again and the tiny sunglasses being tossed about. But what if Joe is in trouble now? What? Polly snapped. What do you mean? What if Joe is in trouble? He's in trouble. He's in trouble with me. Polly stopped talking as though a thought occurred to her. She smiled slowly. Haven't I even better idea? Joe is going to be in trouble with Mom and Dad too. He didn't tell anyone where he was going. He broke the rule. Just wait till they find out. But, Sam gulped. I mean, maybe he's in danger trouble. Like he needs to be rescued. Rescued? Polly? Rescued? Use the last wish to rescue him. He got himself into this. I refuse to waste a wish rescuing him. With that, she turned and marched back toward the house, tucking the bottle under her sweatshirt. At the door, she turned back and shouted to the sky. I never want to see him again. A crack of lightning lit the sky as Polly tore upon the door. To see her mother staring at her, that's not a nice thing to say, Mom said. But it's true, protested Polly. Be careful what you wish for, replied her mother with a faint smile. Siblings, any siblings uneasy? She added, seeing Polly's expression. Why don't you go on upstairs? The table needs to be set. Why do I always have to set the table? Polly asked. You don't. Polly ignored her. She lifted her chin. I have to get something out of my room. Then you're going upstairs too, Mom prompted. Polly rolled her eyes. Set the table. I know. I will. Geez. Back on the beach, Sam's eyes drifted to the giant green waves. He felt very small. He wondered where Joe was. Wasn't sure that Polly was right, and he wasn't sure that something was very wrong, but he didn't know what he could do about it. And he didn't know if they were supposed to be disowning Joe or getting him in trouble. Come on in, Sam, his mother recalled. Sam lowered his head against the wind and headed toward the house. He reached the top of the stairs in time to hear his father say that the pancakes were ready. Polly was setting the table, while Mom got out plates, and Sarah put little Ed in his high chair. Uncle Dad tore himself away from the TV and put butter and syrup and jam on the table. Finally, everyone sat down. Sam smiled tentatively at Polly. She stared at him blankly, then turned to Dad. Shouldn't I go wake up Joe? She asked. Sam knew which plan Polly was going with now, but something was wrong. The grown-ups were all just staring at Polly. Little Ed screamed with glee and threw a pancake on the floor. Who on earth are you talking about? She asked. The end.